so happy for Arcane. Congratulations, Arcane. Round of applause for Arcane. Welcome to the
Wait, we
Tuesday
started
show.
filming?
Yeah, we did it. We're in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was my sneakiest one yet. Arcane,
Wow,
well done with the release of Deathloop. I'm not going to be able to play it till Thursday. Also, this is the Tuesday show. I already said that. Me and Mr. Cow, Cammy Huddlestone. How y'all doing? Very exciting stuff. Deathloop is out. I'm sure most of you have heard nothing but good things. In fact, I have yet to find a single person that has a complaint about the game that has played it. Nothing but love all around. Cammy has had a chance to dive into it a little bit. Cammy, what are you thinking of Deathloop so far?
I'm... How far in it am I? I've done sort of the introduction loop, the like tutorial bit, and then I've done one full loop. I really liked it.
Hey.
I really liked it. I've had a couple of like texture popping glitches, and one moment where my game froze and I had to reload it. Other than that, it's been completely fine. And I was saying on stream that like I feel like especially after Cyberpunk, I'm pretty lenient. Like on day one, if a game comes out and there's like glitches and stuff, I'm like, whatever, it's day one, it doesn't matter. At least the game fucking runs. Like, yes, please. There's way more plot than I expected, which obviously I won't go into. No spoilers. But there's way more plot than I expected. The combat is fun. I haven't delved super deep into it yet, but what I have done, I enjoyed. It's weird because it's like, well, there's a lot I don't really understand, because that's obviously the whole point. It's like the more you play, the more you understand, the better you get, the more information you learn. But I'm like, even though I don't fully understand what's going on, I know that I want to carry on playing it. It's like the first season of Game of Thrones where you're like, I have no idea who any of these characters are, but I want to keep playing it. I want to find out more. Highlight for me is the dialogue between the two main characters. It is gold. It's so good. It's some of the best like banter dialogue I have seen in a video game. It's hilarious. It's so good. So, and on stream that like I had a lot of people who were like, they weren't sure if they wanted to buy the game or not. They weren't sure what the game was about, so they wanted to watch someone play it so they could gauge for themselves whether they were interested or not. And I like pretty much everyone was like, holy shit, yeah, I want this game now. Which says a lot.
It's tremendous news for Arcane Studios.
It is a win.
If for anyone wondering, like, oh, but why is Arcane getting like more free reign with this Redfall game coming out being like the highlight of E3 this year with that teaser? This is why I've been saying it for years at this point, since I played Dishonored on an old broken Xbox 360 that only had like a few games downloaded on it. They are top tier, best in the industry. I have full faith in them with whatever they put out. I've never had a bad experience with one of their games. This, of course, even for me, a 100% advocate, completely biased, the things I've heard about this game have been mind-boggling and way above my expectations for how well this was going to do. And I hope it explodes. I hope it's the biggest game of the year. I can't wait to give it a try and maybe call it Game of the Year. I don't know. It's got to compete with Psychonauts 2.
I have seen people saying Game of the Year for it. Like, I don't know how far that'll go, because there's Psychonauts 2 and It Takes Two that are both like people really wowing about.
They're both fantastic. It's a great year.
Really
For all the people, oh, no God of War, oh, Horizon Forbidden West, blah, blah, blah. You bitches. Look at what's coming out, you bitches, you sad bitches. Resident Evil 8, too. We can't forget about that.
Returnal, people mention Returnal as a possible.
Ratchet and Clank could probably throw its hat in the ring this time around, just for that that loading system alone, taking advantage of the PS5. A lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
It's fantastic across the board. But we can leave that stuff for right now because there is actually one piece I'd like to talk about today. We talked about it a little bit on Saturday, but it came up multiple times. I guess it's like I don't know if it's a thing going around like Twitter or something, but I heard it at work, which is what it prompted me to bring it up today on the show. I heard a lot of people talking and mostly whining and complaining about remakes, reboots, and remasters, which it's been going on for a good long bit. With this Knights of the Old Republic remake coming, I'm guessing it really kicked things into gear for a lot of people. That's a very beloved game by many, including somewhat myself. I don't know, Kayla, have you ever played Knights of the Old Republic?
I have not. It's been one of those games that like I've heard it been mentioned so much and I just haven't got around to playing it. And now I know they're doing a remake. I'm kind of like, I'll probably wait for the remake.
I'd say hold off. It's not quite
Yeah.
to the level of something like Mafia, where if I were like, I love Mafia, the original game. If I loved that game, I never played it as a kid. But if I were in love with that game and I heard a remake was coming for it, I would tell people to wait for the remake because
Yeah.
that original Mafia is pretty dated in a lot of different ways. Knights of the Republic is kind of the same way, but if you like Star Wars, you'll be able to get into it, and this is great to hear. But point being, many people I have seen saying that, oh, the industry, movies, TV, everything, it's going to shit because no one is making anything new anymore. It's all just remakes, reboots, and remasters. I've heard it so much. I've heard people like saying studios weren't creative. I've heard people saying like, oh, this, that, the other. And then today I saw something too, right before we got into this, that put all of it into perspective for me because I think that the people that complain about that do have some merit, especially if you've seen Disney's remakes that they've been doing. They're horrible.
That's shit.
They're so terrible, but they
They're
make a bunch
pointless.
of money from the casual audiences, I guess is the best way to put it. People are like, I know that name, therefore I'm going to watch that movie again, despite it having absolutely no substance or love or care put in it. That Aladdin remake was horrifying.
I don't even know how many I've seen. I think I saw the remake of Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast just because they were like on TV at some point. I don't think I've watched any others. I have never gone out of my way to watch one.
It's a waste of time. It's literally just a placeholder for theaters. And now that after they had that whole Mulan incident, which Mulan, say whatever you want about it, they tried to do something new with it. I never watched it, so I can't speak to the merits of it. From what I heard, it was awful, but at least they were trying something new. And that's what I saw today while looking at, I think it was IGN of all places, because right as IGN gave Deathloop a 10 out of 10, I was like, you guys earned, you guys are reeling me in a little bit, because the 10 out of 10s they usually give are goofy sometimes. IGN's review system I've got some strong feelings about. But Cammy, have you ever seen the show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with Will Smith?
Bits and pieces of it.
It's one of my favorite shows. When I was like 15 or 16, Nick at Night, Nickelodeon, would play it after like 9 or 10 o'clock or something like that with a horrifying amount of commercials on it. Like it was shocking, like almost nearly unwatchable, but I love the show so much I would power through it. I love the show, and they're doing a reboot of it. Totally new cast, no one from the original, and it's seemingly, from what I've read, a completely different show. But the idea of it is, what if we had this cast of characters in this setting with all these different things, but we took that and we spun it into something more dramatic, something like turn it into something completely new, which in my head for Fresh Prince of the Bel-Air pisses me off a little bit, just a
Yeah.
smidge, because I want more Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I want more Will Smith and Carlton. I want them doing their thing. I want that goofy, really, really goofy, sometimes lazy, lighthearted 90s sitcom comedy. But then that got me thinking that even with these remakes and reboots, to say that, oh, the industry's going in a less creative direction is the stupidest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. Because some people working on remakes and reboots are bringing more to the table than people working on original things that are just cut and paste, run it like the easiest money making things you can put out there. So for people to say remakes, reboots, and remasters are like destroying the industry, it's leading us down a bad path. It's not. It's really not. We got Resident Evil remasters, remakes. That Resident Evil 2 was pretty cool. Resident Evil 3, a little bit iffy, from what I heard. I never touched 3, to be completely honest. I did play 2. Love it. But then we also got a brand new Resident Evil after that.
Yeah.
No problem. It's not taken away. And now Resident Evil 2 is brought to a whole new audience of people that were raving about it because it's a fantastic game. You can look at Knights of the Old Republic as being the exact same thing. Mafia, like I talked about, being the exact same thing. The only reason I think people are complaining about it is because they're like, oh, I want a whole new property. But those people that complain about wanting a whole new property never seem to realize that there are whole new properties getting sequels and just brand new installments all over the place. What they want, what those people really want, is Star Wars to not have existed and to come back again so that they can have that same nostalgic feeling in a few years and then get angry again and just rinse and repeat, which isn't how it works. I heard someone say that there hasn't been an original game that's come out in the last year. Someone actually said that, Cammy, to me, and got me pissed off. Because
Yeah,
Psychonauts 2 may be a sequel to an original. You have Deathloop, you have It Takes Two. You have all these fantastic things coming out. You have Resident Evil 8, that's completely new. You have Ratchet and Clank, sure, it's a sequel, but that's a whole new system, that's a whole new story. It's horrifyingly stupid. It's fine to be upset at remakes, at reboots, and at remasters. It is the stupidest thing to say that as a concept is ruining the industry or only makes bad and mediocre games, because it's just not true. That's the rant I had. I wanted to get it out of the way.
Best rant you've ever had.
It's the dumbest thing to me, because creative people can take old things like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and keep in mind I haven't seen this show yet. It could be the worst thing ever, and try and twist it into something new and unique, and that's fantastic. That's creativity. I have no problem with that whatsoever, even conceptually, down to those Disney remakes, despite them being corporate products that are just terrible. It's about who you have on it and what they put in, and if you have a team of executives on it and they put in millions of dollars to do the same thing with more realistic looking animals, it's gonna be shit, guaranteed. That's my rant. I'll let it lie there. It also was coming, I think it may have stemmed off of the announcement of the Saints Row reboot, with people being like, we don't want this shit. We want and people were like, oh, you just want remasters and remakes. That's the worst stuff that makes for mediocre, terrible games. It's up. The name of the game is the game. I forget who said that. I think it was someone at Nintendo back in like the late 80s. So if you're making a good game, if you're making a good movie, you're making a TV show, who the fuck cares if it's a remake, a remaster, a reboot, whatever?
May I add 2 points
Go for
to
it.
your argument as well? First point is creativity has never been new. You talk to anyone creative, they're going to say, oh, I drew inspiration from this and this and this and this. Like the idea that creative people and people who make things, TV shows, video games, anything, the idea that every good idea is an original idea is not true. Everyone is inspired by something, and you talk to someone who you think is a complete visionary and like has never, and you think they're, you know, the be all and end all, and like you want to talk about something original, you talk about this. Yeah, you talk to the creator of that person, they're gonna go, oh yeah, this scene was taken from this and this was inspired by this. So that's the idea that things have to be new. That's not how creativity works. It's never been how it works. Everything is recycled and refreshed and built upon all the time. Point 2.
Oh, well, first, to add to that first point, if you ever need an example of that, follow Hideo Kojima on Twitter. That man makes the most ridiculous games ever made, and even he is posting stuff all the time about what's inspired him, stuff he's going to see. It's incredible. It's really, I mean, it explains some stuff, but it also leaves a lot in the air because he's insane. But you can literally see this
True.
happening in real time with a lot of
Yeah.
creative people.
You dig hard enough and you can put scenes next to each other that are just completely identical, and you know, that doesn't mean that the new thing is a copy. It's just been inspired, and that's how
Yeah.
creativity works. Point two is, just because something's a remake, it doesn't mean it also can't be new. I think a better way of thinking about, okay, granted, not all of them, some remakes are just slightly better graphics and,
Yeah, some of them
whatever.
suck. Those I just call
Hmm.
remasters.
Yeah, the remasters, some of them suck. But there are some games out there who, like, I think it's better to describe them as like a reimagining. It's like someone's gone, I've seen this, and now I'm older and I have more ideas, and maybe I have a different team behind me, and I want to add what I've learned to this property that already exists, but I want to improve upon it. So, like, two great examples, Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. Like, the idea that Persona 5 Royal is just like, oh, it's just Persona 5 remade, or it's just like a longer version. It's not. It's the company, it's Atlas taking everything they've learned and, what people have said and feedback and ideas that maybe they were too nervous to try before or whatever, and adding them to a property that already exists but they care about. They're trying something new. You want to look at a really fucking good example, and I've brought this up before on this channel. Final Fantasy VII Remake. It, I challenge anyone to tell me that that is just a remake, because it's really not. And I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but like, FF7 Remake has done something so smart. It's like a remake, but some of the characters know the original story. It's bizarre and it's difficult to understand unless you've played it. And even if you've played it, you might be thinking, what the fuck? Because it's a Final Fantasy game. You probably are thinking, what the fuck? Um, there's a really, really, really great spoiler talk on Easy Allies channel. And it's got Maximilian Dude on it. And it's like 2.5 hours, but I really encourage people to watch it if you've played Final Fantasy VII Remake, because those are people who love the series, who love FF7, who know all the characters and everything, and they pick it apart and they're like, yes, this bit is a remake of what's in the original, but this character also knows this, which they wouldn't know in the original. And it's like, FF7 Remake is a remake, a retelling of a story where some of the characters are aware of the original story and don't want to have the same ending. That's so clever. Like, it's hard to wrap your head around, granted, especially if you haven't played the game. But once you wrap your head around that, it's so smart. And it's like, if you're telling me that people who make remakes aren't creative, like, play that game and then look into my eyes and tell me that, because, like, that's one of the smartest concepts I've ever come across. The idea of a video game character is aware of, like, the original, of their original story, and as if the original game is like an alternate reality version, and they're aware of what can happen and they want to change their fate. That's
It's
amazing.
awesome. So for anyone that tries to use that as an argument, of course we can always break down like remakes, remasters, and reboots because they all kind of go different. A remake is, or actually, how did I explain it? Remaster is updating something that's beloved so that a new audience can better enjoy it. Think Mafia 2 Definitive Edition. Think even Mass Effect, that
Yeah,
collection, basically that kind of area.
legacy. Yeah.
Some archaic controls and stuff not being quite right. It's different with movies and whatnot, but for at least interactive stuff, you want to update that.
Mm.
That stuff's all good. Remake is someone having an idea for the most part on how to add something to a game and wants to from the ground up, or maybe with some of the original source code, take that and not bring it to a whole new audience, but with kind of their own twist to it. They think something like maybe the original Mafia, but probably a lot more along the lines of something like Final Fantasy VII, or hopefully this new Knights of the Old Republic remake that they're doing. Final Fantasy VII is just such a perfect example of it because I don't think anyone's ever done it as good as they
Yeah.
did. It's shocking. But then a reboot is where it really gets tricky. A reboot is when someone says, I really like the overall concept of what this thing is, like think Saints Row, but I want to try to do it in a whole new way. Bring in some of the conceptual stuff, but I want to, we want to bring, because it can be so vague or it can be so specific. There, you basically are going into a reboot by wanting to retell the story, by not retell it. Reboots are the most complicated part of the whole thing, by
So a
far.
reboot, the best example I can come up with is God of War.
Yeah, where you bring something
Because
new to the table and it's kind of
yeah, it's like a reboot is it's like a new game with an old IP that you've completely turned on its head. That's
right.
how I think of a reboot. So like God of War is, yeah, it's still Kratos. And they're not saying that like 1 through 3 didn't happen, but it's okay, we're taking the very, very core of this IP and we're throwing it somewhere completely different and seeing what happens to that IP with this new environment.
Exactly, yeah. And Saints Row, I still think, like fits into a couple of different categories. Reboot's definitely the closest, but
Mm.
from what I've seen of that thing, it's almost like they don't care a whole lot about the original stuff, and but I'll keep my mouth shut and wait to play the game. We also haven't seen much of it. From what I've seen, it seems like they liked the name Saints Row and wanted to pull in people that liked Saints Row and almost trick them into giving the game a try. Which,
Yeah.
bug it, it's working if that's the case, because I still want to give the game a try to give those developers a fair shake. So it can get a little complicated. It can get a little cluttered, of course. But I think we both shared our thoughts. Uh, we'll let you guys talk it out in the comments below what you think. I'd say be civil, but it's our comment section. You guys are always civil. You're lovely, and I wanted to touch on two things too. I was reading through the
Okay.
comments. I got 2 pointers from people. Let me actually pull
Mm-hmm.
up their names real quick. Credit where credit is due.
Okay.
But
While
the
you're pulling up their names, do you want me to fill in the time?
Yeah, sure. Tell a story of your dog.
Oh, a story of my dog.
That's right.
Um, the littlest, Bernie, the Chihuahua. She had an operation while I was in isolation with COVID. Um, all fine, like a routine. She's not an old dog, but she's 10, so she's starting to have those certain dog breed problems. And one of her knees kept dislocating
Oh
because she's
no.
so small. So she had an operation on her leg, to stop her knee dislocating so much. And she is so feisty. It's like, oh, you're on bed rest, and she's like, fuck that. I'm going upstairs. I'm barking at people. I'm doing whatever the hell I want. She's a badass. I love her. There you go. That's the story of my dog.
That's a great story.
Thanks.
Well, I found the names. First up, Road to Jason, I, they, them is the name. Actually, I can check out some stuff. One of the highest numbers of hearted comments on the channel, and has been
Mm-hmm.
publicly subscribed for 7 months. Didn't know I could check that
Thank
stuff. That's pretty
you.
Cool. Thank you, Road to Jason. I was
Thank
bringing up
you.
that the my camera is a bit fucky
Yeah.
because of the thing on it. I'm gonna try to fix that. I did not realize, it never occurred to me that that could be something I could fix. I kind of thought that because I got this camera secondhand, didn't know a whole lot
Mm.
about it. Just kind of found out how to use it as a webcam. I used it occasionally, like back when I first moved for college. I was living in like a
Yeah.
dingy basement with one outlet plug, so I used it wirelessly to record all my videos, which made for a hoot and a half of stuff and all the weird cropping and stuff I had to do. But I'm going to give it a try tomorrow. I'm going to do a little bit of rework of my stuff. I have to get a curtain up to get this stupid gigantic sun out of the way. So thank you for bringing that to our attention, or specifically my attention. Never even crossed my mind. I didn't even enter it. I just didn't put any thought. I was like, oh, it's fucked, and then that was that.
Totally.
So
I was like, oh, that's how Jacob's camera is. It's fine.
I was just like, that's just how it's got to be. But he provided a little breakdown of what I could do to fix it. Super
Very much.
helpful. From multiple people as well. We've been having people have been asking for timestamps in those in the big press start videos. ASVP was specifically asked and caught my eye because the comment came in really quick. Last week's episode, it's a little tougher to do it with when it's a full showcase like that, but
Yeah.
absolutely, I'm going to start bookmarking while I'm editing so that when I go to upload, I can provide timestamps for you guys with the big press start videos. It's something I wanted to do a couple of weeks back and forgot about. Now that I brought it up here on the Tuesday show, and once I edit it, I'm going to hear it again in my head. Ain't no way I'm forgetting it. If I forget it, everyone comment on the next press start video. Asshole. Yeah, and then we'll get that figured out.
Every time we change topic, I'll do this, and then when you're editing, you're like, "Can be waved." It's time.
that could work.
It could work.
I don't want to put your arms out though. We change topics a lot on those press start videos. Whenever it's a showcase, I kind of like leaving it to play.
Showcases are a bit more difficult.
But I mean, I get breaking that up. So it's like I only want to hear about God of War, not the whole showcase. Yeah. But we also moved really quick in that video with a lot of stuff. But that's no excuse for the future. Because I'll be doing it with hopefully every single one of those press start videos, unless there's something obvious. If we only talked about like two games or something like that, yeah. And even if we only talked about 2 games, that makes timestamps really easy.
Yeah. One thing I was gonna say is like I've mentioned before that I don't really read comments on this channel. It is not good for my mental health at all. I cling on to numbers way too much. Like, say, if we lose 1 subscriber, which is fine, like, it happens, it's how YouTube works, I panic. I'm like, oh my God, I've done something.
Oh no.
I've personally offended this person, and I can like cry. I'll get so, because that's just my brain. My brain is not a good brain. It's not a nice place to be. So I'm trying really hard to like barely go on the channel and on the comments because I just like I see that. So our video came out the other Saturday, Sunday, whenever it came out, and I clicked on it and I saw that the channel had gone down 3 subscribers, which is fine because people will like say they haven't been watching for a while and then they see it on their feed and they're like, yeah, I'm not really watching this channel, so it's not blocking up my feed. It's fine. I'm not angry at you or anything. My brain, this goes to show how toxic my brain is, was like, there's 3 subscribers down. This is my first video that's not the Tuesday show, which I feel like is a bit different. It's first one back. It's not like first one I've come back to in a few weeks, and we've lost 3 subscribers. People don't like me. They hate me.
Oh no.
I should quit this. I'm not good at this. So I just want to put it out there. I don't read the comments. I'm trying really hard to like not look at the channel, but it is not because I don't appreciate the lovely comments out there. It is because my mind is not a fun place at all.
That almost
I'm trying to protect myself a bit. So
it almost makes it a little bit goofier because the channel's actually doing better than it has been since we started it, since the first launch day. We're fucking killing it as of late, and that's of course thanks to you guys, and of course thanks to fucking us. Pat ourselves on the back, getting more cozy with this stuff and finding a way to make it work. And we're adding hopefully more to it soon because tomorrow I was lucky enough to get some extra time. I've been slammed with school and work, but I believe I'm gonna be able to get a review up on Press Start of my very own. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully it'll go up Thursday. I think I only have to capture some footage for it. It's mostly written by now.
Very
Uh,
excited.
so stay tuned for that. I'm committed to this one. It's going to be good. We'll see about making that a little system to mix in some more videos. It's exciting stuff. And
It
once
is.
again, thank you all for
Yeah,
supporting
thank
us, for
you.
listening.
Um, I said because I was streaming earlier, like I said, I was streaming Deathloop, and I was too excited, so I streamed earlier than I would normally. So that meant that I sort of had like a mini mukbang in the middle of it, where I'm like, I need to eat food now, and I'm not gonna end the stream just for 10 minutes. And I was fully expecting because obviously I had to go. I warmed up my lunch. It was just like a microwave meal or whatever. I was fully expecting everyone to leave because like why would you stay for like I was like, oh, I'll leave the webcam on so you can see my cat, and she fucked off like 20 seconds after I left. Fucking asshole. But I came back and I had one more viewer than I left. So I was
Hey.
like, yay! I've been saying like since I've obviously gone away for a little while, not by choice, but and then come back, like the fact that people still hung around was it means more than I can express. So just because I'm not active in the comments or whatever, it doesn't mean I'm not very appreciative. I am. I just have to protect myself a little bit.
Hey, that's all
My
good.
brain is my brain is not pleasant place to be in.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
And that's some mental illness, kid.
Just a well, you know what they say. Just a smidge. Just a sprinkle.
Oh, just
Oh, I don't
yeah.
want to brag, but my brain is fucking awesome. It wasn't always awesome, but it's fucking awesome now. I'm one of the most confident men in the world. Don't believe me? Watch this. I'm God now. It's not how that works.
Oh, it is. Trust me,
It is.
it is. It
That's
really
how it
is.
works. We've
Yeah.
covered a lot of ground in this episode of the Tuesday Show, Miss Huddlestone.
We have, but before we end, I don't know when you're planning on ending this, but I definitely want to ask you what games you've been playing this week.
That's a great question. Let me check. That's
Let
right.
me guess.
I have one that will probably make. Well, of course, I've been playing Psychonauts 2
I
some
was gonna
more.
say,
I cannot get enough of that game. I only wish that Double Fine were able to make sequels on top of sequels to the game. But of
mm,
course, I know that Psychonauts 2 is probably where this ends, which is perfectly fine because what a fucking way to end it. It's
mm.
incredible. Maybe we'll get some DLC down the line. Who knows? But I think it was successful enough to justify it. I certainly liked it enough to justify it. I'll keep my ears open. I'm still waiting for that fucking Cuphead DLC, so taking my time. But I re-downloaded a game as of late, a game that took me 53 hours on the nose to complete. A game that, for longtime listeners, will know I spent the majority of my the day of my birth just kicking back with the blinds closed, playing. I'm going through as we speak Red Dead Redemption 2 once again. This time with full intention of being the worst Arthur I can physically be. I'm going to murder as many people as I started off as the nicest I could be, and then I was just like, fuck it. I like hunting, but what if I hunted people? And so now I'm just gonna have a good time.
I'll be honest. I my friends are all starting to get into Red Dead Online, which I know isn't like it's nowhere near the quality of the main game, but I think you can have fun with it. I've definitely had fun with it in
Oh,
the past
definitely,
on
yeah.
PlayStation. Um, and I've like bought it on PC now, so I can play it with them. And I was talking to my boyfriend because he said like he obviously knows that I've played it loads, and he was like, okay, how do you earn money in the online mode? Because I think that's the most difficult thing is like finding a system to earn money. And I was like, well, what do you like doing in online? And then I can like give you the best advice. And he was like, murder. I love murdering people. I was like, oh, well, um,
Go
so
fishing.
yeah, it's like, is it just people or animals as well? It's like, no, I like hunting and getting the good the good quality pelts. I was like, "Oh, be the trapper then." He was like, yeah. And I also love murdering people. God's sake. Okay.
Might be a
Um,
serial killer. Probably not, but might be.
I'd have. Okay, this speaks to the relationship I have with my boyfriend. I would help him bury the bodies. Ah.
Aww, that's so sweet. Everyone put an aw down in the comments.
Oh.
Aww. Then dislike the video. No, I'm kidding. That's fine.
Find yourself a partner that will commit murder with you. Um, that's my standard. Yeah.
Well, there you
I
go.
finished It Takes Two.
Oh, good. How was that? Would be just phenomenal across the board? You'd say for It Takes Two?
Yeah, it's my game of the year so far.
Good, good, good. Well, you haven't played Psychonauts 2
I
yet.
haven't played Psychonauts 2, no. But
So.
like for me, it's above Ratchet and Clank,
Okay.
which I think was my game of the year.
And Resident Evil 8?
Well, I haven't played that.
Ah.
I've watched people play it. I haven't played it myself. I cried like a baby, and then because I was streaming it with Amy, who was on a Tuesday show. God, it must be over a month ago now.
Yeah,
But,
good old Amsley Cat.
Good old Amsley Cat. I streamed it with her, and I cried like a baby, and then I was like explaining why I was crying. Because have you played it or seen people play it?
No.
Oh, okay, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but the little girl at the end, some of her feelings are feelings that I have also experienced as a child of divorce. So I was like pouring my eyes out crying, and I was like trying to explain to chat. I was like, I'm fine, it's just I relate to this little girl a lot. And then I had messages from people in chat like, I'm literally sat at work crying, what the fuck. I'm sorry.
It's a big shared emotional moment. That's great.
Yeah.
That's the sign of a heart-wrenching, meaningful game. Heart-wrenching, meaningful anything when a large group weeps together.
Yeah, that was the the little girl. Oh my god. So then I played some Days Gone to cheer myself up. Which I platinumed. On Friday.
That's right. I saw that on Twitter. Congrats.
Thank you. It's been a big game week. Loved Days Gone. Absolutely loved it.
I hopefully will be doing a bit more of it here in the future. I've got it on PC. We'll see. I went back to Red Dead 2. I just couldn't get enough of those cowboys. I did have to play Red Dead 2 on the lowest settings physically available the first time. Now I'm able to play it on the highest settings physically available because I'm fucking Gucci as shit. And let me just say, if you Red Dead 2 is such a good game that I am enjoying it equally with the graphical, with it being ultra, and with being, I still think it's phenomenal. One of the best games I've ever played, even on the lowest settings that there were, which made the game look like, honestly, it's shocking I was even able to play the game. Like the load times were like 10 minutes.
Tomb Raider or something?
The what?
The original Tomb Raider. Did it look like the original Tomb Raider where Arthur was just like 3 pixels?
Kind of. A lot of the townspeople, like buildings lettering didn't load in. My computer couldn't load it, so I didn't know what buildings were which. I had to guess. And rocks. There was, when you're up on the mountains, the rocks looked like flat pieces of paper. It was terrible.
Oh, okay.
But that being said, still loving it just as much as I did back then.
I obviously love it. I should, if I hadn't have had the fun time COVID time, I would have had my Red Dead tattoo by now. But it's been pushed back to the end of November.
Oh, sweet! It'll be a Christmas time tattoo.
Yeah, Christmas time tattoo. So yeah, that'll happen.
Well, good. Yeah. Well, we've got a lot to look forward to, gang. Thanks for sticking around today on the Tuesday show. Let us know what you think of remakes, reboots, and remasters, and Deathloop if you've played it yet, or no spoilers.
No spoilers.
Goes without saying.
Yay, or like you're not allowed to say no.
Give us a yay or a good old IGN. I still can't believe IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. IGN is one of the most. I think I've ranted about it before on the Tuesday show how much I hate their grading system, but them giving it a 10 makes me think, oh, okay, there's something about this game that got the attention of a large crew of, I don't want to say morons because that's not right. The way they break it up is kind of funky is all I'm saying. They're all very talented writers from what I can tell.
Yeah. I think that's the thing I was on about earlier. Is like, how I said like, oh, it's a bit like season one of Game of Thrones where I don't fully understand everything that's going on, but I want more of it.
Right.
There's something quite special about like it's almost a little bit addicting. It's like I wanna know more. I want to play it more, and I'm not entirely sure why yet. I just know that I have a tremendous amount of fun playing it, and I cannot speak highly enough of the banter between the two main characters. It's like it's so good. It's so good.
Well, there you go. Well, right on,
Oh,
gang. We'll see you later. Like and
yeah.
subscribe, all that fun stuff. It's the Tuesday show. Bye bye.
Ah.
Woo.